A shirt pulls down weird. Well, good evening, all. Hello. How are you guys? How's everybody? How's everything doing? Okay.
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. It's been hot as hell up here.
It's too hot. That's
disgusting.
The only thing.
I mean, you're somewhere else that's usually hotter than me. So what was the weather there today?
It's hot.
Like,
it's
like damn hot.
No, yeah.
Okay.
It's too hot for me.
You ever see Bloxy Blues?
No.
It's a movie with Matthew Broderick where they're joining the army during World War II. So he's like a kid from Brooklyn, and it's actually kind of a deep movie about people being in the closet during. But anyways, it's also a comedy, and there's one part he's like, it's hot, it's damn hot. It's like African hot down here. Like Tarzan wouldn't even take it this hot. You know, like just the way he says it. It's I've always said that, but
it's just too hot.
Yeah, it's been like 90, 95, 97, and then like 80% humidity.
That's what it is here. It's just killing me.
Disgusting. Disgusting. I thought I'd give a couple seconds for people to roll in, but it's usually slow. So welcome to the stream by the Crossroads. I almost forgot it. And this is our Wednesday night reread of Game of Thrones, or really of A Song of Ice and Fire, but we're still on book 1 of Game of Thrones. And with me tonight is Jayne.
Hey guys.
Thank you for being here. And the one, like choking over here, and the one and only, the true king of Westeros, Stig Kenobi.
Lord of Dragonstone, Master of Ships, King of Westeros, Lord of Storm's End, King of the Andals, the Rhoynar, and the First Men, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, Protector of Realm. All who deny that are my foes. Let no man claim ignorance as a defense. But bend the knee or I'll destroy them. Did I get it right, Sedavas?
He's the King of the North. That's all I got. I'm trying to practice he's the King of the North. I'll use that like John line.
Fewer.
Do the you won me once friendly or whatever it is. I warned you twice friendly or something. I don't know.
It's twice I warned you friendly.
There it is. I always forget how you say it, but I love it. All right.
He says it at the when they're arguing with the cat.
Before the battle.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, dude. I warned you. All right. Let's see who's in our chat. That's twice I've warned you, Renly. We have the first person here tonight. Well, it was Jayne, but that doesn't count because she's here. Michael Jolin.
It's just a theory that she was first anyway.
Yeah, that's true. McKinney, good evening, my friend. When we get a couple more people in here, McKinney, I'm going to ask an artistic question. Hopefully I don't forget.
Is that where you draw the line? Is that where you draw the line?
Yes, that's where the marker meets the road.
Good point.
There's Tina. She's usually our first one, but every time, good evening, friends. And I love that. And people will be joining us soon enough, rolling in. But we'll start with what this is. So, like I said before, we're rereading A Game of Thrones, as you guys in the chat know. But if you're finding this for the first time, please like, share, subscribe, first of all. But what we're doing is we're rereading the books, going chapter by chapter summary, and trying to not go beyond the book we're on for spoilers. And really what we've been doing pretty well is not going beyond the chapter we're on. We have said a couple things that happen later on in the books, but trying to keep away any big spoiler. And we try not to say anything about any of the future books. So when, as Stig always says, once we get to those books, we can look back and be like, well, that's why we thought this and said this. How did this line up? What do you think, Stig? Are we doing good at that?
Yeah, I think we're doing quite well, except for now and again when someone yaps too much.
That's this guy. I like to yap. I'm waiting for you to go on.
That's twice I warned you, Randy.
Oh, man. So the great Miss Martin Muse couldn't be here tonight. She'll be on hopefully next week. I know our friend Toriel I got it though. You didn't have to tell me. Toriel, I'm sorry. I just have to say it once now and I get it. Toriel, she will be hopefully on. She's going through some stuff. So I think it was like same as Christy, internet problems. So hopefully they get back up and running and can watch this.
They both ran out of ravens.
They both ran out.
They
God
did.
damn. They got small legs, too much paper,
They need dragon.
But they do. I need a dragon. Would you
don't want
rather
to have a dragon?
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Would you rather have a dragon or a direwolf? They both live
Okay.
They both live like as long as you do. Let's just say you born with them. You both live 100 years. What would you rather have? A direwolf or a dragon?
Okay.
I know.
If I am not alone, if I have a pack, other families who also have wolves, then I would prefer the wolf because alone you're vulnerable. Otherwise, if it's just me, then I would want the dragon.
Okay. Hey, Nerd Cookies, how are you?
I don't want a dragon. Then I could fly over to the United States and land it outside your door, Sporking, when you won't stop yapping.
Oh my God! Can you imagine that? Yeah, I'd be on my stream like, and so I was saying it. I'm sorry, Stig. Just...
Oh, you will be. And then the doorbell rings and there's a dragon outside.
I did it for the realm.
Yeah, I warned you twice.
Oh man, that's perfect. So
I mean, if you like to travel though, a dragon is what you need, right? Think of all the money you'll save in travel expenses.
I was just thinking about which would be easier for other people to kill though. Like it would be much harder for them to kill your dragon than your dog.
Well, to be fair, both of them would be an endangered species.
Yeah. Protected by laws.
Yeah.
I like the direwolves. Tina says direwolves are less expensive to take care of unless the dragon helps me win the lotto or something. Well,
I mean, dragons eat
whatever they want.
I'll just send the dragon over to Sweden to eat.
There you go.
Might poison it though.
The way I look at it though is, I mean, a direwolf will protect you and be your best friend, and you can like cuddle with a direwolf. A dragon will win you a state, maybe a province, and by accidentally kill a couple people. So I don't know. That's a tough one. I really thought I'd go direwolf right off the rip. Like you said, if I knew I was going to have a pack of at least like 6 of them with a family, like maybe people I trusted.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Because you could take a state with that probably.
Yeah, but if you have a dragon, right, you could just charge money to have people watch and breathe fire and stuff.
Yeah.
You could also build an army because people would follow you if you have a dragon.
Right. But if you also have, if you have psychic connection with these massive direwolves, because don't forget, the show didn't get them right. They stand as tall as like a 6-foot man, like on all fours. They're living tanks.
Yeah, it's more like a horse.
Right. And they're not supposed to be that easy to kill. You know, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm going to think about that one. But so tonight we are doing, what are we doing? We're chapter 40 through 42. So that would be Catelyn 7.
Yep.
Jon 5.
Right.
Is it Tyrion 4 or 6?
Tyrion 6.
Tyrion 6. Sorry about that.
I've reconsidered. I'd rather have a kraken.
Ooh.
Which
you
one?
You would own the oceans.
I live on an island anyway.
A kraken?
Yeah, a kraken.
Okay. I don't know how that would.
I mean, think of all the female anime enthusiasts that would want to be with me because of the tentacle beast I have.
You hear that all the time from the ladies, right?
Yeah, that'll work.
That works.
Hey, how do you make
a
Japanese anime schoolgirl laugh?
How?
You use tentacles.
Oh my god. Oh my god. So before we start, you just made me think of it though. I like to if you didn't check out Monday that was so funny. If you haven't checked out Monday stream where we do spoilers and I am echoing. And we did a part 2 of what we disliked between the show and the books, like what they left out, what we thought they did wrong. Gary from Nerdrotic stopped in, stayed for about an hour. So if you just want to watch him, he jumped about halfway through the stream. But
very knowledgeable.
Very knowledgeable. And he sent me something, and I don't know if I think he brought it up. He made something for his patrons where he read the Forsaken chapter from the Winds of Winter sample chapters. And let me just say, like I told these guys backstage, we could do a whole show again, because just listening to him say it and not reading, but just sitting there soaking it in, there is so much going on. So we're not going to spoil anything, but that might be one of the best chapters George has written. Definitely his best like horror chapter of the saga. What do you guys read it? I don't know. Stig, have you read the Forsaken?
Didn't we do it on this stream once?
We touched on it. We didn't.
I don't think it was a focus.
I think I sent it to you after that stream, but it was more like what's Euron's master plan, not really what was going on in that chapter. There was so much that went on in that chapter.
Well, is there a link for all the released chapter bits?
Yes, I'll send it to you. I have it.
Because that's something we could do. We could do 2 excerpts per episode.
Oh, that'd be fun, actually.
That would be cool.
We could, with 1 or 2, because we could literally talk an hour and a half on one of them, I think.
Yeah.
That's what, but
it's absolutely relevant to the topic.
Yeah, it is. And let's just pray George gets it done this year. We will see. So once again, thank you, Gary, for stopping by. It's the best stream I've had. So I mean, it's so funny when someone like him, who's just chill and hangs out, it doesn't want any praise. He's just another guy, really. He really is.
Just like me and Jayne, really.
Really?
Yeah.
I hope I treat you all the same. But it's funny how my show would go from like 150 views to like over 3,000 in a day. Like, it's just strange how a normal guy like him is all of a sudden like something big, when I don't know, we met him when he had like 20,000, but someday that'll be me and I'll remember you guys. I swear.
Yeah, right.
I'll never forget you, Jayne.
If I do an hour of content, I'll pass you very quickly.
You will, dude. That's the sick part.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. Like, if you put any effort, everyone would be like, oh my God, Stig's really doing it. I got a sub. extra. Sib has a channel. I went somewhere with that. So you guys want to start with this? All right. Sure. We're starting with Jayne reading Catelyn 7.
Yes.
From A Game of Thrones.
Okay. So Catelyn watches dawn break over the Eyrie. Below is the waterfall called Elisa's Tears, named after a woman who had seen her husband, brothers, and all her children slain, but never shed a tear. Catelyn wonders how large a waterfall her own tears will make when she dies. Sir Roderick continues with his news. Sir Jaime Lannister is gathering an army at Casterly Rock. Catelyn's brother Edmure writes that he has commanded Lord Vance and Piper to guard the pass below the Golden Tooth. Edmure's letter goes on to declare that he will yield no foot of Tully land without soaking it in Lannister blood. Catelyn is in a foul mood and asks why the letter makes no mention of their father, the Lord of Riverrun, who must be very sick to give the defense over to Edmure. When Catelyn says that she should have been woken immediately when the letter arrived, Sir Roderick explains that Lysa thought it better to let her sleep. He also mentions that her sister plans to speak with her after the combat. Catelyn declares the combat a mummer's farce, angry that Lysa cannot see Tyrion Lannister has tricked her. In Catelyn's opinion, it is past time that she and Roderick leave for Winterfell, planning to take a ship north from Gulltown. Roderick pales at the thought of another sea voyage. As the servants dress her, Catelyn hopes that she can talk to her sister before the duel. The shy girl Catelyn knew at Riverrun has grown into a vain and inconstant woman. When the message came that Tyrion wanted to confess, Catelyn had tried to convince Lysa to talk to the dwarf in private, but her sister insisted on a public show. As they come to the doors of Lysa's apartment, Sir Brennan the Blackfish is coming out. He's angry that Lysa refused to grant him 1,000 men to aid the defense of the Riverlands. He declares that he is resigned as Knight of the Bloody Gate and will go alone. Concerned about her uncle traveling the high road alone, Catelyn suggests he return to Winterfell with them and receive his 1,000 men from her. Brendan agrees, and Catelyn and Roderick enter Lysa's apartment. Lysa's apartments overlook a grassy area scattered with statues, the remnants of a failed attempt to plant a godswood, where the duel will take place. An elegant-looking Lysa is holding court on the terrace, surrounded by her many suitors. The young Lord Robert is in a chair on an elevated platform being entertained by a puppeteer. Catelyn attempts to explain to Lysa that they have nothing to gain by executing Tyrion and everything to lose if his champion should succeed. Lysa and her suitors insist that any knight is superior to a common sellsword like Bronn. Having seen Bronn fight on the high road, Catelyn is much less certain. Trying another approach, Catelyn argues that the Lannisters, especially Jaime Lannister, will not be satisfied that they had a trial before executing Tyrion. Lynn Corbray insists that Tyrion's head will serve as a warning to the Lannisters, but Lysa insists that her son wants to see Tyrion fly as if it settles the matter. Catelyn attempts one final time to stop the trial by combat by claiming Tyrion is her prisoner. Lysa merely rants that Tyrion killed her husband and she means to see him pay. So Roderick asks Catelyn quietly if she truly thinks Tyrion did it. She states that she believes the Lannisters murdered Jon Arryn, but she cannot say whether it was Cersei, Jaime, or Tyrion. Lysa had named Cersei in her letter, but now she seems certain it was Tyrion, perhaps because she has Tyrion as her captive. Roderick agrees that poison could be the work of Tyrion or Cersei, but Jaime is too fond of blood to have used poison. Catelyn wonders how else they could have made it to look a natural death. When Catelyn hears her nephew shriek in delight at the antics of the puppets, she states that the boy is too undisciplined. He'll never be strong enough to rule unless he's taken away from Lysa. Maester Coleman, having overheard this, pipes in that Jon Arryn agreed and was planning to send the boy to Dragonstone. Catelyn corrects him that it was Casterly Rock, but the Maester insists it was Dragonstone. Tyrion Lannister is led forward, and Robert asks if he can make him fly. Then the two champions appear from either side of the garden. Ser Vardis Egan is armored in plate from head to toe with a narrow slit for vision. Bronn looks almost naked by comparison, wearing only a half helm, a mail coif, and ring mail over boiled leather. However, Catelyn notices that Bronn is 15 years younger and a half a hand taller, with a greater reach than Vardis. The Septon calls upon the gods before making a hasty departure. Robert is impatient for the fight to start. The knight's heavy triangular shield is strapped to his arm by a squire. When offered a shield, Bronn refuses. The knight is handed an elegant double-edged sword that Lysa announces belonged to Jon Arryn for ceremonial occasions. Lysa explains that she thinks it's only fitting that Ser Vardis avenge Lord Arryn with his own blade. But Catelyn notices that Vardis shows some discomfort with the strange sword. Finally, Robert is allowed to initiate the fight. After an initial probing exchange, Bronn starts to leap away from the knight's advances. The crowd starts declaring that Bronn is craven, but Roderick tells Catelyn that Bronn is trying to tire the knight. As she watches the fight, Catelyn remembers the duel between Brandon Stark and Peter Baelish. When Brandon saw the limited armor Peter was wearing, he took off most of his own armor. Peter had begged her for a favor, but her father had promised her to Brandon. As she had given the favor to Brandon, Catelyn had begged him to not kill Peter, and he had agreed. The fight was ended quickly with a deep cut to Peter's ribs, which Catelyn was sure was fatal. That was the last time she had seen Peter until King's Landing. When Catelyn returns her attention to the fight, she can tell Bronn is quicker. Robert complains that the combatants are not fighting properly, but his mother assures him that the sellsword cannot run all day. Eventually, Ser Vardis is addled by a fall and loses sight of Bronn because of his narrow visor. Bronn uses this opportunity to place a serious blow to the knight's elbow. Now the knight parries begin to grow slower and lower, and Bronn attacks with more energy. Blind to the fact that Vardis is losing, Lysa calls for him to finish the sellsword as if he were delaying the end on purpose. Vardis charges, and Bronn almost loses his balance, but he manages to jump back from the blow and push a statue onto the knight. With Vardis pinned under the fallen statue, Bronn delivers the killing blow, and a silence falls over the crowd. Robert asks if it's over, and Lysa is forced to admit it is. Robert then asks if he can make the little man fly, and Tyrion joyfully says, "Not this little man." When Lysa makes a thinly veiled threat to execute Tyrion anyway, the dwarf asks if Lysa remembers House Aaron's words, "as high as honor." Robert insists that he wants to make Tyrion fly, but Lysa is forced to admit that the gods have proclaimed Tyrion innocent. She orders Tyrion and Bronn escorted to the Bloody Gate and provided with supplies, but they must take the high road alone. Everyone in the court recognizes the proclamation as another sort of death sentence. Tyrion favors Lysa with a mocking bow, saying he and Bronn already know the way.
That's a good chapter.
That's a good chapter.
That's a good chapter.
Very well read, Jayne.
Yes.
Yeah.
You really could you could do audible. You could do that. I'm telling you.
Thanks.
I like it. So and Bones loves it. Bone is a big fan of your voice. I love Bone. Yeah. So Stig, what'd you get from it?
It's a bit different from the show when they toss the guy out the moon door.
Mm-hmm.
The moon door is different.
Might be some foreshadowing at the beginning of that chapter that we can't talk about.
Oh God, yeah.
So maybe we'll skip that one.
Well, the only thing I'll say about that is when Catelyn is thinking at that waterfall, she always goes morbid and thinks like, you know, how much tears will fall. But it's like when I die, you know, like I don't get that. Like, it's almost like she states it in a way where it's like, how will my tears end when I die? Like, whose tears?
Or maybe who will cry for her when she dies?
I didn't get that. Stig, what did you think? Did you notice like how she worded that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think she is, in general, at this point in the book, she's very struck with melancholy. Because things have not gone her way the last few months. And her father is also sick, which is probably affecting her. Yeah, stuff like that. I think she has a lot on her shoulders, even though she's a bitch.
Yeah. What do you think, Jayne?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I think that's sort of some insight into her frustration. Everything is going wrong at this point. You know, her sister isn't who she thought she was.
Yeah.
The information she got may be wrong. She now has this Lannister who may be innocent, which she knows the consequences of that. She can't trust her sister. She doesn't know what the hell's going on in the Riverlands. It's just a mess right now.
Yeah, and I like this chapter because you do get a little more with the Blackfish.
Yeah,
and he's just like he's an awesome knight. And one of my favorite lines he says when he hasn't been back since he left, you know, River Run, he says, but because they're going to be under attack, Blackfish or no, I am still a Tully. And it's like, you know, what Tywin's smart, okay, and it's not spoilers. So Tywin's moving his troops to show strength. You took my son. I'm moving on River Run because really, where else could he move to but River Run?
Right.
Now I don't know if this is known not until later on, so I don't think it's a spoiler though. But the Lannisters, they can't go by sea because they do not have a navy. It was destroyed in the Greyjoy Rebellion by Victarion. So it's either that or like, I don't even know how he could get. So you have to attack River Run. And he must realize that Catelyn's brother's in charge because he knows Hoyster Tully. He knows him from Nine Penny Kings and all these wars and battles they fought during Aerys' time. And I don't think he would have moved on River Run, but he knows this Edmure's like a he's hungry and he's going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys caught that too.
He's not smart. I mean, I think they made him even more of a joke in the show than he.
Yeah,
it was a bit extreme, but yeah, I agree. I think Tywin probably would have made that move anyway, even if it's just a show of strength, because they have to do something. I mean, they have to respond to this,
right?
And this is something that we know Ned predicted as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, yeah, Catelyn, all her fault. And you start to see
they have been prepared for all of this, but yeah,
right. And Stig, you start to see one woman's decision at it in by the crossroads, one woman's decision starting to, cascade into something even bigger.
Yeah, every decision you make in anger can easily have ripple effects.
Mm-hmm.
It also struck me that Catelyn, with her dad being sick, her past is unraveling basically, and her present is unraveling because what happened to Bran and all that stuff, and then her future is also getting more and more uncertain.
Right. That was very, very cool way of putting it. And she's still like she realizes she probably made a mistake with Tyrion. And then they're talking about poison, and it could have been Jon Arryn too, and it couldn't be Jaime because Jaime would want blood, so that could be Cersei or Tyrion. She can't get past. It has to be a Lannister. It has to be. It's
like, why wasn't all of this worked out before you came this far? Before you did all of this? Like, these aren't questions you ask now.
Right.
You're in too deep.
Right.
Yeah, and what if Bronn had lost and Tyrion had gotten beheaded?
Oh God.
And it turns out it wasn't him, and she even believes it probably wasn't him at this point.
Right. Right.
So then the real killer would have gotten away because Tyrion was, punished for a crime he didn't commit.
Right.
But he was still officially punished.
Yeah. And by the laws, I don't know how that works because I mean, he lost in the eyes of the gods, so his father doesn't have any legal right to attack anybody. So right now he does. They kidnapped his son under false context. Like he has a right.
I don't think he would care that because I mean, keep in mind, Jaime has already attacked Ned over his just being kidnapped, even though he's being held on charges.
Right, but the king ruled on that. Think about it.
Yeah,
that tells Tywin right there. Like, if he's not going to punish my son for attacking his best friend and killing his guards,
it's free for all.
It is a free for all. What else did you notice, Jane?
Let's see. I loved that we get to see Bronn's style of fighting. We finally get to the actual fight, and and Lysa's stupidity. I mean, she arms her knight with weapons that aren't his weapons, and expects him to use them effectively.
Right.
In a duel. I don't know if it's overconfidence or just downright stupidity on her part.
A little bit of both.
And Bronn notices this. He's using his skill effectively, and I still feel like even now that he's probably holding back some because he doesn't want to expose himself. And we'll see in an upcoming chapter another reason why I feel that way. But
yeah,
I mean, it's a much better fight than what we actually get in the show,
right?
And a more satisfying conclusion to it, in my opinion. Right. Throwing him out of the moon door.
Yeah, that's stupid. Eliza's delusional. I mean, I don't know if you got that, Stig. I thought she's delusional. Like, the guy's injured, hit in the elbow, barely could swing the sword, and she's like, "Stop playing with him. Throw the death blow." Like, why are you making this last long? Like, she's out there, man. Like,
yeah, she wants it over with quickly. And it's her I guess theatrics, because she wants the ceremonial weapon to be used and all that. proves he knows nothing about combat. It's all about
Mhm.
the romantic aspect of it. But a ceremonial blade is usually not made for combat. It's off balance, probably not as sharp as it should be. So she is screwing up her own knight.
Yeah, and he can't say anything. You
No.
know, he's
No.
an honorable guy. But then, you know, like Kat even saying, like, when Braun and them are right next to each other, you know, Braun is a hand taller and 15 years younger. She knew this was Liza fell right into Tyrion's trap. I think the flashback that this reminds Kat of, where Brandon Stark fights Peter Baelish for her honor,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
I think that's a very, very important moment in Westerosian history.
Mhm.
Let's just say I feel like Peter Baelish was the boy that went into that fight, and Littlefinger came out of that fight. And
Yeah.
that's all I'll say about that. I don't know if you guys agree.
Actually, it mirrors, or rather, it circumvents in a way what Bilbo achieved when he didn't kill Gollum. But in this case, showing mercy took a darker turn.
Right. Another stupid decision on her part.
Yep. But, you know, it was the boy she grew up with. She didn't, that one I'll give her. She didn't know who Littlefinger would become.
Yeah, and he was injured too.
Right. And
But
I always, no, go ahead.
I feel like he was showing signs of being obsessive and a bit stalkerish. So
yeah,
she shouldn't have felt pity on him at that moment.
You know what? Did she like it?
Could have.
You know, like Kat is kind of, you know, she's very about her kids right now. Like they're the greatest things since sliced bread. Well, maybe she thought that about herself before her kids were born. You're like, oh, look at me. Guys are fighting over me. And I'm not saying that's right. That's wrong. She should fight for herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. She probably did encourage it a little bit, but
yeah.
Even that decision, we're seeing the effects of it, you know?
Yeah.
So she is at fault for all of it.
And also she is totally at fault for all of it. And we're also seeing more about how John Aaron wanted Stannis to foster Sweet Robin, knowing he had to take him away from his mother.
Right.
And this kid, you see it in this kid. She doesn't control him. She just appeases him with what she says. And, you know,
which is how you get the SJWs of America.
Right.
True.
And his behavior is so much worse than in the summary. I mean, he's just screaming and acting stupid. Like she should get tired of it, but she doesn't.
That's the thing. She doesn't. And it's crazy because I always found it interesting with Sweet Robin. I don't know if you guys know Preston. Well, you guys know Preston Jacobs has a whole Sweet Robin series about how he believes Sweet Robin may be like a green seer. And the throne, I don't know if they explained it in this one or the last. The throne in the Eyrie is actually is cut out of an old weirwood tree. And I always found that to be interesting. Yeah. So no matter what the old gods are in that room, no matter if that's alive, dead, whatever, it's still a piece of their body, let's just say. And I wonder if it ever manipulated any of them to do stupid things.
I wonder about that too.
I don't think so.
We know Liza's a very different person than what she was, though. So it could have been.
But that was leaving it. That's the one thing that got me. It was she left and became weird, right, Stig? So
yeah, but the weirwood throne isn't hooked into roots.
Yeah, true. Because like the stump in a future chapter in a different book is actually a stump of a weirwood, so that's rooted. So I can understand that. So this, I thought for some reason it might have been cut in that spot, but it's not. It's just a weirwood throne. Okay.
Yeah, and it's way up. up in the mountains. So
right, they talk about it in this chapter, talking about trying to create a Godswood, right?
Yeah. So I don't think that one is hooked up to the internet. As
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. You just
for Sweet Robin. He reminds me of a kid I went to school with. He behaved like that, and he had kick-ass ADD.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, if Sweet Robin was in our world, he would be either considered on the spectrum or ADD, ADHD, something to that effect.
But I still think, I mean, you may be onto something with the fact that they're making a point about what the wood is or what the throne is made of, because you also see in the House of Black and White a point made of the doors being weirwood, one white and one black. So there may be something to the wood too.
Right.
Oh yeah, could be.
I definitely think the wood either is still in some way connected or holding memories or just some type of magical property to it. I don't know if they talk.
You know, when this is a bit of science though. They have managed to make hard drives out of crystals.
Yes,
because you can store data in compact material.
Right.
So
and crystals are a great storer of data.
Yeah, and so basically, if this is a thing George has thought about, there could be data stored in that throne because weirwoods are compact as heck.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a stretch. It all assumes that George has thought about that. Probably not. But it's still.
I don't know, man. I feel like he thought of everything.
Every word has multiple meanings.
Yeah.
We said it on Monday. Every word is important in the story. Like you think you have a filler chapter or a filler paragraph, and it means something 3 books later. So I try to look beyond what I've already read. And just the whole Sweet Robin, what is his purpose? Right now he's just like this spoiled bratty kid and we'll see him later on, but what will he become or what is his purpose? And I don't know. And Liza and then once again, Kat, we should leave before this whole thing starts. Get on a boat and go.
Right.
Should have.
Or leave
How
now.
many times? Yes, pretty much that's what she said. She said before this happens, and you're such a family person. Yeah, she's such a family person, but yet she didn't follow her lord husband's, demands.
Right.
Commands as Lord of Winterfell. Not just her husband, but as Lord of Winterfell, I can't get over that.
And are y'all picking up that she's also afraid of Liza a little bit?
She doesn't know what she could do, right?
And that puts her in the same position Ned's in, where he's afraid of his brother Robert. She's afraid of her sister Liza.
Right.
How do you get in this position?
It's both people they haven't seen in years that are now different people. And it's true. King's Landing changes people. It's interesting.
And apparently so is Theory.
Yeah. You guys have anything else on this? It's a good chapter. I always like this chapter. I like how, she kind of does not guest gifts where in the North, if you offer guest rights, you have to give a gift to say guest rights are over. But she pretty much does that. She gives them, supplies and says, you have to take that road, which, from the reaction everybody has, that road is definitely dangerous.
Right.
And then,
the chapter is kind of an event chapter, right?
Yes.
The fight. It fleshes out Catelyn a little bit with her, a little flashback and stuff like that, and and there's maybe fleshes out a little bit of the the attempted murder mystery.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think there's that much in it.
No, I mean, you learn about what's going on in River Run.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that part of the world, what they're doing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it seems like there isn't a lot, but there is important little things going on, including, a battle for Tyrion's life.
Yeah. I've noticed some of George's chapters.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing in that chapter is it's a fight, an important fight.
I don't know why I did that. Sorry.
And this is one of them.
So say that one more time. I'm sorry, because when I did that, I threw me off. So
I'm saying that some of George's chapters sprinkled through the books are purely fight chapters between two people.
Oh,
so
right.
It's a very deciding fight chapter with some information sprinkled around it. It seems to be a thing he's doing because he's done it more than once.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I can't spoil it, but he might do it later.
There's quite a few if you think about it.
Yeah.
There's quite a few if you think about it.
Basically, a fight event. Almost like a duel of fates, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good way of putting it. I like that. There's multiple duel of fates. You're right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to move on to the next chapter, but before we do that, I just want to say hello to the Time Prophet. I'm amazed at how much Sporking remembers from the books. I read a chapter and tend to forget the details by the time I get to the next chapter. I'm that same person, man. I swear to God. Yeah, go ahead.
Which is ironic given his nickname.
Right.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I have to read things sometimes multiple times, but this is, and I said it on Monday, this is like the one series in my life so far that when I read it, I was so connected to what George was writing that it didn't make me kind of lose track, because I ADHD, learning disabilities. Sometimes looking at a page, I'm like, wait a minute, I've been staring at the same letter for like 6 hours. But this, I was just so into it, man. So that's why I'm doing this, because it's inspired me to do almost like this is a historical research,
Off-topic question though.
Yeah.
Do you think reading books like this or doing something that really interests the person might actually help with ADD?
Yes. It literally focused. I was so much more focused when I was into it.
Yeah, so it triggers focus almost.
Yeah. And it's almost like it's a hyper focus, because like all of a sudden you're turning it within. So yeah, that's actually a very cool way of putting it. We also
within the brain.
Yeah. I think we saw a couple other people jump in while we were talking. I'm sorry if I don't remember who. I saw Bone. We said Bone. Mason, you jumped in. Thank you for being here, guys. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe. I also want to put this out here. If anybody out there could do 2 little pieces of artwork for us, and I'll give you full credit. I might show it. I'll definitely use it probably as like a background and like other things, but I would love to get 2 coats of arms. Kind of like sigils from Game of Thrones, but one that's just Sporking News Podcast. Do whatever you want. But then I want another that some of like the houses have like multiple. I would love one with like whatever you think represents me, Jayne, and Stig. And I would say Christy too, like what represents us, like in 4 spots of the shield. I think, but if you could do also a sigil for my site, I will put it up on Twitter. I'll scream your name everywhere.
Put a rose on it for Teresa.
Teresa, yeah. What could we do for you could put like
Toriel has a clover.
Oh, Toriel's
clover.
Rose clover, and like Gary, you could just put like the glasses somewhere.
Yeah, and a burning stag for me.
Yeah, fiery heart. Fiery heart.
All who deny that are my foes.
Yeah, just throwing that out there. If anybody's willing to do it, that would be awesome. This community we're growing here is fantastic. I love you guys. So with that,
Look at what Time Prophet said.
what did he say? Oh, it's not up on here yet. One white hat, one yellow hat, and one no hat. I like it. Yeah, it's something. Whatever moves you, a spork, a Jayne, maybe like vocal cords of some sort, like folks, a Stannis, but definitely I would love a sporking sigil. I just think that would be so cool. And if you have it,
I think I could make one actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me an hour after the stream.
Dude, take your time. I'll be asleep, so don't worry about it. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. And with that, I hand it over to you, Stig.
Yeah, chapter 41, which is John 5, I believe.
Yes.
And 5 new recruits arrive at Castle Black. Sir Alistair passes 8 bastards off to the Lord Commander. The bastard Jon Snow is one of them. He says some will call them men, but they are fools to believe it. When winter comes, they will die like flies. And then he leaves. They've basically graduated and been brought before the Lord Commander. Sam tells Jon that he believes Jon will become First Ranger one day. During the feast that happens, the rest state that they're also convinced Jon will become the First Ranger one as well, as the bastard is the best swordsman. They're all worried about Sam and the fact that he's at the mercy of Sir Alistair Thorne right now because Sam didn't graduate with the others. So he is free to be bullied by Sir Alistair with little or no protection. Jon takes a ride. While he's riding, he thinks about Winterfell and how he longs to be there with his half-siblings. He also remembers how Catelyn never made him feel welcome. After a while, he decides that there's no place for him anymore at Winterfell. And he also thinks about his mother and figures she must be something dishonorable, otherwise Ned wouldn't be ashamed to speak of her. When he gets back, he visits Maester Aemon late at night. Chet and Clytus stop him and tell him the master is sleeping, but Jon insists. Aemon is pleased by the visit, and they sit down in front of the fire. Jon asks that Sam gets accepted as a sworn brother. Chet says it is no concern of the Maester, but Sir Alistair's responsibility to do that. Aemon agrees. Jon explains that he explains all that he and the others had to do to protect Sam. Chet feels Alistair should make Sam a man or kill him trying. Jon chimes in that the Watch needs every man and that killing one would be futile. The bastard remembers Maester Luwin's chain and declares that the Watch need all sorts of skills and knowledge. Chet claims that being a steward is not easy work, fit for a coward. Aemon calmly lists the duties of the stewards, and Jon Snow has to admit that none of them suit Sam. Jon then tells Aemon that Sam is very suited for helping Aemon with reading, writing, and doing math and all that, and helping with the ravens and such. And Aemon tells him he will think on it. The end.
Nice, man. Nice.
Yeah.
I love Maester Aemon. I love that dude. So
he's the most reasonable man in Westeros.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old is he?
100 and something.
He has to be, right? I mean,
yeah.
Shoot. All right. I won't throw that out there yet, but so let's start this time with Jayne, and then we'll go to Stig. What did you get from that, Jayne? What is first thing you focus on when you see that chapter?
Initially, John's doubt, his own insecurity about where he came from and his parentage and the struggle between wanting to go back to his family and remembering that he might not necessarily have a nice life there either. So I feel sadness for him, the situation he's in, but also you see that that nobleness about him, that honor in wanting to help and protect Sam. And we've been through this conversation with him before about what leadership means and what strength means. And you see him little by little sort of stepping into that role. And part of that growth for him is learning to protect these people who are ultimately going to become his brothers, Sam being the weakest of them.
Right. And he learns that from one of the previous chapters, the Smith, right? The Smith, they're explaining to him, like, you keep showing these guys up. Like, they don't need that. We need them to be better.
Right.
He took those words to heart. What do you think, Stig?
Yeah, absolutely. He is, he rides off to think, and he is starting to realize that he is in the right place. Winterfell really isn't for him. And but he's still feeling homesick, right? Because he misses his half siblings, and he also wants to know about her mother, but his mother. But he's starting to think there was something dishonorable about the mother because Ned didn't want to speak about her, and he returns. He almost returns as a leader, because for the rest of the chapter, he is trying to help Sam, who is his friend and all that, but he never mentions the friendship much. He promotes Sam's skills,
right?
And he's letting Aemon know that there is value in Sam, and he lists up what he actually can do rather than what he can't.
Right.
Which is a very good leadership, because instead of changing one of the units into something it isn't, it's better to make use of it where it's best suited. And I think Aemon knows this, because he says he'll think on it, but I don't think he has to think long.
Right. And
this is like a character growth chapter completely, really.
And it's also people, he might not realize it, but people are seeing that he is being a leader here. He's trying to help one of his sworn brothers, saying, like, we need every man we can get. So we got to find something for him, knowing that there's value in everyone. And that's important.
Also, he's being praised a lot in this chapter for people keep saying he's going to be first ranger and his best swordsman and blah blah blah. It does not go to his head. His only thoughts about himself is homesickness, basically.
Yeah.
And after that, it's all about his fellow Night's Watch member.
Yeah.
It's never about they praised me, I'm so great. There's not a hint to it.
And I think it's important too. You mentioned that he appealed to skill.
Right.
And Sam's actual strengths. That's important, because we also know, even though everybody's supposed to be equal, status still matters in this society. Yep. So he could have appealed to that. It could have been based on emotion or who he is or who his father is. Right. And look, this is my friend. He's going to be with me. He didn't do any of that.
No, it was by the merit of the person, of Sam. And wow, what a crazy idea that is,
Yeah. And he's absolutely right, because Sam is completely useless in a fight, and he is a coward.
Right.
But he is book smart.
Yes.
Which is actually very rare at the Wall, because you don't get the smartest fish in the barrel up there.
No. No, you don't. And don't forget, he wanted his father to let him go to the Citadel to become a maester. And his father was like, I'll kill you before that happens. So that's why he ended up at the Watch, because that was the only other places he can go.
Also, John is being a bit clever as well.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
He remembers Maester Lewin talk about the chain that Maester Lewin had and what those links in the chain represented. It was all kinds of knowledge. So he is absolutely appealing to Maester Aemon's background, I guess.
Right. And like you said, having a Maester Aemon's, so over 100, and having a young man that actually is not just like he's capable to read, but proficient in reading and, loves it. That's like the perfect fit. And to think, yeah, go ahead.
Now he's also listing up, the skills Sam has are exactly the skills Aemon needs for his duties, because he specifies the ravens as well.
Yep.
Right.
And again, like you just said, his ability to recognize the strengths in Sam and where it will best be suited, I think in later chapters is the reason why he ends up where he is. And I think Maester Aemon and others see that he's an intelligent guy who doesn't just think, everyone has to be a brave warrior, that there's a place for everyone. And that comes from his bested upbringing. And one thing I found kind of different was he thinks of his half siblings. Like he's been like not his siblings, not his brother, not his sisters, but his half siblings. It's like distancing them.
But that's what's so funny about it, is that he initially does refer to them as his siblings, but a voice in his head says that, oh, they're your half siblings. Makes me wonder if that was his voice in his head.
Shit.
Sowing seeds of doubt.
Damn. That is clever. It could easily, we know from Branch chapter that there's visions and, we've heard of things like that. You never know. That's something I never picked up before.
It was so weird.
I'm writing that down. That's good.
Makes me wonder if if there was some wind in the leaves.
Yeah, exactly. Because think about it.
Something to look up, because that's something to pay attention to, I feel, in this story.
Yeah. And think about that. John thinks of them as his siblings, but then a voice in his head tells him half siblings. So right there, you are separating yourself from any family bond you had. Like even that much further, they're just my half siblings. They're not my real brothers and sisters.
And that's a completely foreign concept to him.
Yes.
We don't hear that from him before this.
No, I mean, Catelyn's the only thing we hear negative. Everybody else, even Sansa, who doesn't really talk to him, he still thinks of her as his sister. Even though that bitch don't think of him as him. But anyways, and once again, we hear about how shitty Catelyn is.
Yeah.
If she just treated the kid a little bit nicer, but she was threatened by him. So I don't know. Yeah, I wonder if we go back and read that line, if there's any rustling or anything like that, wind breeze while he's thinking about that. I don't know.
Yeah, he did ride into the woods, though, I believe.
Well, yeah, he's taking a ride and he's isolated by himself. So
because the dog's going to hunt
at night as well. It sounds like excellent. Sounds like an excellent evening.
Darkness, right? Yeah. That's a good pickup, Jayne. I like that.
Yeah, I have to go back and read that.
I'm gonna have to now. Yeah. Anything else from this chapter? I just think it was a really good chapter showing John maturing as a man, but now I think it might even have a little bit more. Yeah. All right. Parrot Head, how you doing, my brother? No, I have not. I have not gotten better computer, but you can always support the channel by donating to my PayPal. Rosa, who's not here tonight, but thank you. 2 streams ago last stream donated $12 to my account. And I thank you for that. That will go definitely at some point to better equipment, which hopefully my first thing will be a computer with more USB ports so I can run a hard line to my router. Because if I do that right now, I have no microphone. So, you win some, you lose some. So let's see. I have the next chapter, and it's our last chapter of the night. Wow, we went quick through that chapter. We're only an hour in. Usually we're about hour and a half through 2 chapters.
Yeah.
So this is we're back with Tyrion. This is Tyrion 6. Yeah. Okay, I'll start with the synopsis. And I forgot to say it. We say it every Wednesday night. We usually take our synopsis from a wiki of Ice and Fire, so Westeros.org. Great resource for anything A Song of Ice and Fire. Just so you know. Darren, how are you, man? No worries to be late. You could always watch it later and give me more view time. And we have Dolified. Let the coffee enema be stronger than the alcohol. Yeah, I wonder where he is. Way to represent and support me, guy. Thanks, I always say it wrong. Dolified. All right. Tyrion and Bronn have taken shelter beneath some aspens just off the high road. Tyrion is gathering wood and asks Bronn if a particular branch will do for a fire. Bronn asks if he has a death wish, as a fire will bring the Vale Mountain clan down on them. Bronn thinks it is best to travel fast at night, avoid the road, and make no noise or fires. Tyrion states that traveling fast at night is a good way to fall down the mountain and that the clans will find them no matter what they do. Bronn replies that means they are dead men. Tyrion insists that he would prefer to die comfortably and asks if Bronn can find some game. He does not look forward to the salted beef and hard bread that Lysa Arryn had provided them. Bronn threatens to take Tyrion's horse and leave, asking what Tyrion would do. Tyrion replies that he would probably die. When Bronn asks if Tyrion believes his threat, Tyrion admits he does, commenting that Bronn was quick to finish off Chicken when he took an arrow in the belly. Bronn points out that Chicken was good as dead anyway and would have done the same for him. Bronn explains that although he fought for Tyrion, he is not his friend and not his servant. Tyrion accepts this with a good humor, stating that he is mainly interested in Bronn's sword, not his friendship. When Bronn asks how Tyrion knew he would be his champion, Tyrion explained that he did not know, but anticipated Bronn's sellsword nature. Go for the gold. Bronn helps take Tyrion captive in hopes of reward, but the Starks are too proud to take low-born scum like Bronn into their service permanently, so Tyrion had to gamble that Bronn would abandon Lady Catelyn for the next hopeful venture, rescuing him. Bronn tells Tyrion that he has a bold tongue and that someday somebody will cut it out and make him eat it. Tyrion replies that everyone tells him that. Tyrion then declares that although Bronn is scum, he is not stupid and knows where his best interests lie. Luckily for Tyrion, when Bronn quickly lights the fire with a flint, Tyrion compliments that Bronn is also useful and almost as good with a sword as his brother Jaime. Then Tyrion asks what Bronn wants, gold, land, or women. He promised that if Bronn keeps him alive, he will have it. Bronn asks about what happened if Tyrion dies. Tyrion quips that then he will have one mourner. Bronn then informs Tyrion that his is no man's today. Tyrion replies that he is sure Bronn is no man's friend, adding that he is sure Bronn will betray him just like Lady Stark if there is a profit. However, Tyrion begs Bronn to remember that he will match any price offer to betray him because he likes living. Bronn disappears to go hunting at Tyrion's request. An hour later, they are eating a goat they have roasted. Tyrion complains about the meat's toughness, but says he will not complain too loudly since at the Eyrie he would have to dance on a precipice for a boiled bean. Bronn then complains that Tyrion gave the turnkey a purse of gold, and Tyrion states that a Lannister always pays his debt, and he keeps his silver, however. After giving the turnkey the purse, Tyrion told him that if he ever tired of Lady Aaron's service, he needs only come to Castle Rock to get the rest. Bronn asks what Tyrion plans when they reach the river, and Tyrion states a whore, a feathered bed, a wine for starts, then on to Castle Rock or King's Landing, since he has questions about a dagger. Bronn seems surprised that Tyrion is truly innocent. As they settle down for the night, Tyrion notes that the clansmen are taking their time. Bronn replies that he would fear a trap with them being so open. Tyrion suggests they sing to scare them away. As Tyrion whistles a song, he asks Bronn if he has ever heard it before. Bronn states he has heard it in inns and whorehouses. Tyrion goes on to say the first girl he bedded used to sing it. He tells Bronn the story of when he and his brother Jaime rescued her. They heard a scream, and Taisha came running onto the road, chased by two men. Jaime went after the men while Tyrion dismounted to protect the girl. He tells Bronn that she was about a year older than him, low-born, half-starved, and unwashed. When Jaime left to get help from Castle Rock, Tyrion took her to an inn where they shared a meal and talked. The wine went to 13-year-old Tyrion's head, and he found himself in bed with her. When he broke her maiden head, she wept and then kissed him. He found a drunken sept to marry them and set her up in a cottage of her own where they played man and white for a fortnight. Then the Septon sobered and told Tyrion's father, and that was the end of his marriage. Jaime was forced to confess that the girl was a whore, that he set the whole thing up. Then Lord Tywin gave her to a barracks of guardsmen and paid her a silver for each one. Tywin made Tyrion go last, having him pay her a gold coin since he was a Lannister. Bronn states that he would have killed the man who did that to him, and Tyrion states that he might yet. A Lannister always pays his debts. Tyrion rolls into his shadow skin cloak to sleep and dreams of a sky cell, but this time he is the jailer, driving his father back to the abyss. Bronn wakes him with a warning, and Tyrion motions for Bronn to stay still. Then Tyrion calls out for a clansman to join them and share their goat. A voice replies, since this is their mountain, it is their goat. Tyrion agrees it is and asks their names. They declare themselves Stone Crows, and a big man named Shagga, armed with 2 axes, steps into the light first. Slowly, the rest emerge, armed with a variety of weapons, including pitchforks. Jesus, man, this is a long one. Tyrion introduces himself and declares himself a member of Clan Lannister. He offers to pay the clansmen for the goat they ate. Guthor, son of Gurn, who seems to be their chief, asks what he has give them. And Tyrion tells them he has silver in his purse and his weapons and armor. Khan replies that Tyrion is going to pay them with their own coin. They can take what they want from their corpse. Gunther states they have nothing to give but their lives and asks Tyrion how he would like to die. Tyrion replies, in my own bed, with a belly full of wine and a maiden's mouth around my cock at the age of 80. Shagga laughs, but the others seem unamused. Guthor tells Khan to kill Bronn and takes Tyrion to milk goats and make the mothers laugh. Bronn springs to his feet, asking who dies first, but Tyrion screams for him to stop. Tyrion asks the clansmen if their weapons are the best they could steal, declaring them good for killing sheep at most. He adds that his father smiths ship better weapons. Gunther thinks of starving women and children of his tribe, is interested, and asks what Tyrion will give them for their lives. In addition to the list of weapons suggested by the tribe, Tyrion offers them the veil. Woo! Somebody else talk.
That was crazy. One of the things I loved about this chapter was the interaction between Bronn and Tyrion. We get to see more of Bronn's personality, of his growing relationship with Tyrion. And I think we see that there is something there besides his just being a low-born person. Because when Tyrion insults Bronn and calls him low-born, and what was the other thing he called him? Scum, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, low-born scum, yeah.
Yeah. After that, and they continue the conversation, he repeatedly refers to the scum part, but not the low-born part.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me wonder if he is in fact low-born.
That's actually a very nice catch.
Wow. What do you think, Stig?
I don't think he's lowborn. I think Jayne is onto something. I think we talked about that a little on Monday too. There's something about Braun.
Right.
So a lot of stuff doesn't add up, and I think Jayne just picked up on the clue right there.
Yeah, that's interesting, Jayne. So he leave. Yeah, we killing it. Wow. What else? Anybody? Stig, Jayne.
It's basically a chapter where Tyrion uses his brain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect way of putting it.
Yeah. This is where his quick mind works, and it's a lifesaver, and it has been all through the book almost. But we get to see why he relies on that, and you get to see his effectiveness with it, because he's basically analyzing the situation, and the stuff he gets wrong to begin with, he adjusts. He's like, okay, these guys don't like humor that much, so I'm gonna try with greed,
Right,
and then try with, and then he tries to bribe them with land.
Right,
So
not just land, but not just land, but the land of Aaron, which they believe is theirs. Yeah.
And he's basically probing them for what they want. So he's stumbling a bit at first, and then he just, as soon as he sees them start to nibble at the bait, he knows more and more what they want, and he starts playing into that.
Yeah, he's a great negotiator. I mean, he's go ahead. I'm sorry.
He's a cunning little rat.
He really is. We have seen him now twice negotiate his life without definitely knowing it's going to work. He went for it. He realized that Bronn thought Catelyn would take him maybe into Winterfell's service, but he knew Catelyn would never do that. And he knew the minute they left the Aaron, they're gonna run into the Mountain Clan. So why not announce you are there and get it over with? And I thought that was cool. He kept just saying, no, light the fire. They're going to come at some point, like I'm going to whistle and sing.
That was smart.
Yeah, very smart. Like,
and I like how
I want them to know.
Preemptively addressed Bronn's, betrayal.
Yeah.
Like, look, people are going to try to pay you off. I'll pay you double. It's fine.
Because I like to live. I think that's one of my it's one of my favorite Tyrion moments where he's like, because I want to live. I like living.
It's actually one of the best Tyrion chapters in this book. In my opinion.
I could say in this book, I got to think about the next ones, but I think you're right, man. He just genius move. He just got himself out of a death sentence, and he just got himself passage with an army, a small army.
Yeah, and it's and a couple of days ago he was in a cell about to die.
Yeah.
So give this man an inch, and he'll grab the whole 10 yards.
Yeah, he's always thinking. And for people that don't know the Mountain Clans, so Southern kings would consider them petty lords. They are more tribal and probably not as advanced as some of the lords in the north, but they are considered lords. So like these are clans that we find out that Ned Stark would visit. You had to not in the air in the Eyrie, but in the north, he would go and visit them and show them the respect they deserve. You see that it's not happening in the Eyrie. So whatever's going on, there's always constant friction between them. So Tyrion knows the history and feeds into it, knowing that if he says he'll give them the Eyrie, they're going to want that better steel. You're right. He kind of just kept raising the bar,
Well, he's also assessing them. I mean, he knows their history because he's knowledgeable about those things, but he's also looking at them and making assessments based on what is right in front of him. What do these people need? And in addition to what they want. And that was just a very smart approach.
Yeah. And I put that the same way. I enjoy being inside Tyrion's head too. I really like, because George says Tyrion's the closest to him and one of the ones he loves writing most. Like if he's anybody, it's mostly Tyrion. I think he said Tyrion, Sam, and there might have been one other person, but definitely Tyrion and Sam are the closest to who he is. So when he writes those chapters, you know you're getting some of the best George writes. And that's what, I'm sorry to bring it up, but that's what killed me about the last 4 or 5 seasons of Game of Thrones, where the writing left, George writing ended and whatever they called their writing started.
Mm-hmm.
Tyrion just was not this just wicked smart and just on point,
Yeah.
We also find out about something in Tyrion's past.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Jayne?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where he lets a bit more of himself show and his own sort of deep sorrow underlying the bravado and the sass of the Lannisters and all that arrogance. But Neither is someone who has been pained literally his entire adulthood because of this experience. It is traumatizing to him, and rightly so.
Oh my God!
It's interesting that he shares it with Bronn.
Right.
Like I would doubt he's ever shared this story with anyone else.
Well, like you said in the previous chapter, if you wear it as a badge, it can't be used to hurt you.
Right, but he goes very deep into the story. Is that maybe because he knows this plan might not work out and I might die tomorrow, so why not tell this guy this?
And he wants someone to know. Maybe it's been on his chest this entire time.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's just chatty. He is chatty.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
That's
good.
Probably a mix between that and he needs someone to confide in. Probably because he almost died a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, it's true. That's what I'm thinking. Like he almost died. He might die. What the hell? I'm going for it.
Right.
Get it go.
Yeah. We also get some insight into Jaime through this story. And we find out he really was an honorable person.
Mm-hmm.
Who he is today and what we see him, what he sort of become is probably very different from the person he was back then. Willing to jump off his horse and run after these guys
to protect
who are attacking a peasant girl.
Well, I mean, what we find out though, Jayne, is that she was a paid whore. And and Tywin Lannister, the Lord of Casterly Rock, gives her to a barrack full of guardsmen, and each one rapes her and gives her a silver. And he makes Tyrion go last after forcing him to watch it, and gives her a piece of gold. And there was like, this girl couldn't hold him in both hands.
Yeah.
You want to talk about writing something that's disturbing. Like that is like, wow. Tywin is just scum. Like that is, what lesson do you teach there?
And this is probably throughout the story so far, we've come to actually kind of like Tywin.
Right.
And then we find out that this is what he did.
Right. Tywin's kind of a boss, but he's a vicious son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And the term, the Lannisters always pay their debts, goes for a debt, no matter what type of debt it is, a blood debt, gold, whatever. They will get their revenge if they feel like they have been besmirched, dishonored.
Yeah.
And Tywin, because of his history with his father, is 100-fold worse than any of the Lannisters. And I don't know if we learn about that later, if that's from another reading. I always forget, but
it's just interesting that he took it out on the girl and not Tyrion. I mean, I guess he did in a way psychologically take it out on Tyrion, but
oh God, yeah, but that poor
just
girl
sent the girl away.
Could have killed her.
Yeah.
Would have been better.
Would have been better,
probably. What do you think about that, Stig?
No, I think both of you actually summed it up quite nicely. Tywin is not a good guy. You know, a lot of people like him because he has some cool qualities, but he's not a good guy. He is completely ruthless, even to his own family. And Tyrion was probably a teenager when this happened, young teens or something.
13. He's 13.
Yeah, this is a very fucked up thing to do to a 13-year-old, and indirectly, Tyrion is to blame for what happened to that whore, and that's something.
Yeah,
that's something he has to live with.
By being not thinking my father will not allow this to happen, but he drunkenly goes and finds a drunken septon and gets married. You're absolutely right. I mean,
yeah.
And then the betrayal from Jaime, because Jaime admits she was a whore and I was set up to chase these guys away.
Yeah.
Wow. I wonder if that ever comes back in this story. You know, it's crazy.
It makes me wonder, what did he do to Jaime though to force him to say that?
Right. For the love tier. Well, I mean, what
did he threaten to kill him?
Well, did he force him to say that because he made him do it, or something else?
Or maybe Jaime's conscience gave in, and he wanted to. He explained it. To make maybe Tyrion feel better, but it kind of backfired.
Mm-hmm.
And then we never find out what happened to the Septon either, because it was his fault. He was the adult in the room.
I'm shocked that they didn't say, like, Tywin strung him up or something, that
Septon though, what if that's someone that has returned to the story later on and we don't know that we don't know the background?
Oh, shit.
Something to think about, because George does shit like that.
Oh my God. Are you thinking of who I'm thinking of?
I will write it in the private chat because we can't say it.
Yeah, we can't say it, but I think you just made me go boop. The Time Prophet, perfectly put. And if you're not subscribed to the Time Prophet, please do. His voice it's dope. It's just dope. He sounds like he should be like announcing stuff. I don't know. Jayne, you know what I mean. In a Game of Thrones, like in real life, there are shades of gray to every character. No one can be totally good all the time. They all have their skeletons. And he's right. I'm agreeing with you right now too, Stig. But some are more like a charcoal, they're darker than gray. Some are closer to a black, but no matter what someone is, except for maybe like one or two characters that we can't talk about right now, but they were created that way. Tywin's father, like, I guess I could say it because it's in history books and stuff, but Tywin's father was a pushover. Tywin was never going to get pushed over. So that's why he's the way he is. The family name means everything to him. So
but when you read this the first time, do you believe the story that Tyrion was told? Does Tyrion believe it?
Well, I think Tyrion does believe it. And I'll be honest, when I first read this, I found it hard. I found it sad. I didn't really. Jaime admitting that he was part of it made it sad to me that his brother would betray him like that. And then what happens to this poor girl also falls on Jaime's, shoulders, because, he could have warned him much, much sooner. That's the thing I always, when I was reading it, I didn't understand, is that if Jaime is saying this was a setup, why didn't he keep with Tyrion and stop anything that would have happened? So, because they know their father and how he reacts. That's just a terrible story. Just terrible. And again, we see where George is very medieval brutal in his world. And that's why some people think he's like this sexist, evil man. But the truth is, George considers himself a feminist till he was told by a feminist that he can't be a feminist years ago. But you will see brutal actions towards women and men
and children
and children and old people, but you will also see power from all those groups.
Yeah.
I just think he's an amazing writer. I love the Mountain Clans. Those guys are dope.
I like that. I mean, I like too that they're somewhat between wildlings and the nobles we're accustomed to seeing.
Exactly.
You know, they're that in between. They're wild, but they're not quite totally uncivilized.
Right, but are the well, from what we hear, the wildlings are. But you know, if these guys ended up north of the wall, they would definitely be wildlings. Does that mean wildlings would be them south of the wall, or would they be anything different? You know,
I don't know. I mean, we just saw a couple of them with Bran attack Bran, and Osha was the only one of the group that seemed to have any sense to be, the only one who could think about a plan or negotiations or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think the rest of them are kind of
From
incredible
what we've
seen so far.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But it's the lands that create that again. So they weren't born in nice castles. They have been foraging off the land, battling to get what it seems like they think is their land. I think Tyrion struck an awesome deal. Now, a Lannister always pays his debts, and he just promised them the Eyrie.
It's amazing that they have that kind of power.
Vale, yeah.
These are Lannisters. That's what they can do. And plus, he has to know that his family is planning to avenge what's happened. He knows his father.
Right.
He knows what he's capable of. He knows he does not tolerate their name being dragged through the mud.
Or any weakness.
Any weakness
Also,
whatsoever.
if they're planning on going back to the Eyrie to take revenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
It would help a lot if they have some hill tribes and stuff having caused problems big time for a while before.
Exactly.
Wait a minute, say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Well, if Tyrion is planning to have the Lannisters go back to the Vale to take revenge.
Right.
Yeah. If you have a bunch of hill tribes up there that have already been causing an extra amount of trouble for House Aaron, then easier to move in.
Right. And they're also like guerrilla warriors that know the land better than anybody. So you just got people that, instead of coming to a land that, Tywin may never have been to, you have scouts on the ground that live there and know how to get around things, up things. It's actually if his father sees it that way, it's a strategic ally to have if you ever have to attack the Eyrie. You're absolutely right. The Time Prophet again. It's a wonder the wildlings don't starve. I mean, they can't grow food in snow and ice, and so much live solely off maybe fish or meat.
To be fair, there's probably not ice there constantly because winter is happening right now, so it would freeze there first.
Yep.
But in the middle of a long summer, it's probably not covered in snow.
No, they get
trees and stuff.
Yeah, they'll get snow in the summer, but you see greenery.
Yeah,
I mean, forest.
Yeah.
If it was pure winter all the time, the animals wouldn't survive.
Yeah, no, I mean, unless they prepare for it, they'd be dead. You're saying all the time? Yeah, there would be nothing up there.
Yeah.
And they're wearing furs, so there are animals for them to hunt. They could be nomadic and not farmers,
Which is why the area way north of that is called the land of always winter.
Mm-hmm.
Right, where no one goes.
Yeah, because if it was always winter all the way down to the wall, that would be the land of always winter too.
Right, and
good point.
I was about to bring up somebody else. We do meet somebody north of the wall at some point where I believe people in his group forage. So we do find out that they might plant small things, but I would say Jayne's right. They probably are more of a nomadic, and if they do have villages, they're more south.
Yeah.
But more northern ones get, and we learn later on, more northern ones get a little bit more vicious too, because he is right. more north, you have less probably game, probably, vegetation, and they do other horrible things. He also, yep.
This is actually as in the prequel because in the prologue, because they noticed the wall was weeping, meaning it was melting a bit.
Right. And he just asked that question. Wouldn't the ice wall melt? Well, no, because the wall, first of all, it's such a huge piece of ice that it would take a lot for it to melt. It would have to be constant heat, but also it has magic. They know that the children of the forest, the giants and man, Bran the Builder, were involved in building this wall, and that they believe that there is ancient ruins. People think it's like, kind of a folk's tale, but ancient ruins built into the wall that keep it there. But it never gets, it's 700 feet high ice wall, probably, I don't even know how wide, but wide enough that, I think you could have carts on top. So that would take a long time to melt, right?
Yeah. And even if it melts a little during the day, it'll freeze at night, and every time it rains and stuff like that. But
yeah, that's true. And Adam Price, thank you for stopping in, man. There are many of them, so they aren't that nourished. Aren't that many? Yeah, so there aren't that many of them. There are some large groups of wildlings. We'll see that later on.
There are quite a lot of them.
Yeah, different tribes and stuff, just like in the South and what they consider the South, but different areas, different leaders, different everything. The books just keep getting better, people.
Yeah. We actually can't talk about the numbers.
What's that? Oh yeah, right. Kind of comes up later, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else on this chapter or anything we've read so far tonight, the 3 chapters?
Nah, all 3 are very good chapters.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a favorite one, I couldn't.
Yeah, I really, that's tough because John's is it's like a positive move in John's life. I think the Tyrion chapter where we see him really scheming, we're inside his brain. We see how he deals with, like, this is how this little man, I believe, could survive even if he wasn't a Lannister, but luckily he is. So, yeah, I would say Tyrion. What would you say, Jayne?
That's tough.
Yeah, it is.
Because we get to explore so much of who they are, how they consider themselves, how they view themselves. That I think these chapters are all great when it comes to character development. And we see their progression. Even Kat, as insane as she is, we see a little bit of intellectual growth there. I would probably say John's chapter is my favorite. He's one of my favorite characters, but I also like that we're seeing this foreshadowing of the type of leader he could be someday.
Right.
On a much larger scale. So
yeah.
I like that chapter.
Yeah, definitely. That is, it's tough. It's hard to pick favorite chapters, but you would admit, Stig, you believe this is the best Tyrion chapter.
So far, well, the other one so far where he really shines is when he's traveling with Jon to the wall. He has a lot of clever stuff to say in that one, but that's a Jon chapter.
Yeah.
So yeah. So far, this is probably my favorite Tyrion chapter.
Yeah, and you really do find, I don't know, you see part of his painful past.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and I do think when you read the chapter, it doesn't come across as him just chatting too much. It really does come. There are moments where you can tell if you were there that his voice may have been getting lower, that he may have become more emotional just because of how it's written, that he was almost reliving it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when Bronn talks about, if someone did that to me, I would kill him. And he's like, well, you never know.
Right. Lannister always pays his debts.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to bring that up. Like, I like that line too. Like, you never know, that scarred him and changed him. Like Stig said, I mean, he's 13 years old. That changed him forever. He was ready to settle down with a girl he thought loved him in a little cottage and live a life where someone loves him for not being a Lannister, but loves him for being him. And then he finds out that, it was all set up by his dad. Sad.
Yeah.
And
he would have been out of the way.
Am I back?
You're back. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good. So
all 3 chapters are very character developing, and it fleshes out the characters in question and the people around them a bit.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And we get some action too, like you said. Not one of the biggest battles we'll see, but it's definitely, we get to see Bronn. Like, I like how you said that, Bronn, but maybe holding back.
I'm definitely betting on him holding back.
Yeah. So I just tried it. Let me really quick, guys. I just put a link in the chat. I'm going to do it again. So this link, please, after this, go to that link. That is our friend Immortal Coil. He does a live stream tonight. It'll be at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific. It's Savage Perspective, and it's news of the weird. And it's, dude, he's good. And for some reason, he doesn't have a lot of subs. So please sub him, give him a chance. It's free. Just any help will help. Immortal's a great guy. And he's part of the Fourth Wave, the original Fourth Wave crew, and still part of Rogue Entertainment. So please support him with checking him out tonight. He's a very deep guy. And also could be crass too, which I love. But I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
So Jayne, why don't you do your amazing outro?
Hey guys, you can find me here on YouTube where I post weekly movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central, as well as some occasional pop culture news and commentary. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Perfect. Thank you, Jayne. I can't decide. I want to have you and Gary read a book, like one of these books, and you do the female voices, he does the males. It'd be the best-selling book ever. And then Stig would be the only one who's allowed to do Stannis. Go, Stig.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a YouTuber, just a panelist who likes to talk about books and whatever else sometimes. Nerdy stuff. Just a friend of the YouTube family.
And a good friend at that. Make sure you guys check out Stig on Chris Knight's channel, and it's Chris Knight Review 3000. How do they find it?
The Real Review 3000.
The Real Review 3000. Chris and Stig do movie breakdowns. They just did The Terminator. Really great. Went into it deep. I really enjoyed it. They do a lot of different movies, and Chris is one of the biggest supporters of people in the fandom. One of the first people to put me on one of his live streams. So, and he always offers me to come back on. It's just, we get busy, but if you are not, sub to Chris, please also sub to Chris. It would be awesome. And with that, I would just like to thank everyone for being here tonight. Thank you to my panelists. Thank you to everybody in the chat.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Please stop by Saturday night. We go on after Rogue Entertainment. It's usually about 9:30. I will be doing a Sporking news dump where we talk about not Game of Thrones, but we talk about woke Hollywood, society in general. So if that makes you a little queasy, you might not want to show up. But if you do, please come over and support us Saturday night. Thank you, Stig. Thank you, Jayne. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night.
Have a good night.